Well, hello and welcome to my latest video. What am I up to today? Well, today I'm doing, and it's kind of a rant because it's 7 things that get right up my nose in terms of what cyclists do. Now, you might say, with a certain amount of justification on your part, you're always moaning, Julian. You're always just moaning and whinging and complaining. That's what my wife says, actually. And, why can't you say something nice? I do occasionally think I ought to make one of those nice kind of, fluffy, fairy cakes, let's go out and have a nice time video. But we don't live in very nice times, do we? And I don't feel, I laugh a lot, mostly at my own jokes, but I don't feel we're living in a very positive kind of world at the moment. So there are things that wind me up. There are things that get on my nerves. There are things that get, right up my tits. Sorry about that expression. And I just thought I ought to share them with you because better out than in, as they say. Don't keep it bottled up because that leads to concerns and issues. As they say at the end of Channel 4 programmes, if you have concerns about any of the issues raised during Hollyoaks, which I watch all the time, by the way, then phone this number. I often do phone the number. And I say things like, how did Boris ever get to be Prime Minister? And they say, we didn't talk about that in Hollyoaks. I said, well, you bloody well should have done. Anyway, so on the theme of things that get right up my nose, the first thing I want to talk about is things that don't get right up my nose, and that is snot rockets. Now, what is it about cyclists, not all cyclists, I don't do it, but some cyclists who think that the appropriate way to behave while you're cycling along, usually with a few mates, is to occasionally lean to one side or the other, you know what I mean? And out comes this kind of stream, this stream of green lava, like is currently engulfing La Palma because God is up there delivering snot rockets into the Canary Islands. So they're riding along, do you know what I mean? And I think, is that really necessary? I was quite seriously ill a number of years ago, and I was on the operating table. I was having an operation. It was a kind of partial anaesthetic, and the surgeon came in. The first thing he did was, and I thought, are you a cyclist? And he said, yeah, I'm a cyclist, surgeon, cyclist, why not? And then I was watching, Question Time, and the camera panned around one of the MPs, probably a Liberal Democrat, but it may not have been. And they're sitting there and they go right onto the person next to them, who was probably a Tory person, in which case it was quite satisfactory. But you think, is that really necessary? And then I was in the theatre. And I was watching my favourite actor of all time, Mark Rylance, right? I was at the Globe Theatre, Richard III, Mark Rylance. He was in the middle of the speech and suddenly he turned like that. And you thought, pardon? I don't remember that in the stage directions for Romeo and Juliet. Romeo, is it Romeo? Does he play? Isn't that strange? I ought to know that. So he turns around in the stage directions, exunt left snot rocketing, and that's one of the stage directions. So anyway, snot rockets, not necessary. Don't like it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it at all. Please don't do it over other cyclists or other members of the public, children, elderly people, aunts, uncles, whatever it is. Just leave it in your nose. I've changed position again. Have you noticed? Have you noticed it's the old moving camera thing? I learnt that in film school. They said always move the camera. I put the camera on a tripod so it doesn't really move. But what I do is I do a take. That's what we call it. I do a take and then I turn the camera on and do another take. So this is take 2. Otherwise it's take 1 of take 2, if that makes sense. Anyway, take 2 is people who don't say hello. Now, I'm not one of those people. Right? You may know I'm getting a camper van. And when I get my camper van, I do not intend to wave at other camper vans or motorhomes, or I may wave at other Toyota Alphard owners because that's quite an interesting kind of brand that we all share. So I'm not generally a waver, but when I'm on a bike ride, okay, I always acknowledged other bike riders. I don't know why. It's just one of those things I do. If I'm not going too fast, I'll raise my hand like that, or I'll nod, or I'll give a kind of wink if it's not inappropriate. But I always acknowledge other cyclists, and I'm not one of these ones who says, well, I'm only going to acknowledge roadies, right? If you're on a mountain bike or a hybrid, then I'm not going to wave at you. But then other cyclists come along, and there is a club in South London whose name I shall not mention, but you all know who you are, who make a point of not acknowledging other cyclists because they think they're too important, they're too fast, they're too good, they're racers, they're kind of semi-pro racers, so they don't have time to acknowledge shitty other cyclists that they see on the road, and that just winds me up. So if you're on a bike, it's a nice sociable kind of activity. If you see another cyclist, just wave them. Yeah, well done, mate. Yeah. Let's meet up sometime. So say hello. Number 3. This has got scary lighting, isn't it? I'm trying to make my videos more exciting. I've been looking at lots of YouTubers, and I'm thinking my videos aren't really all that exciting, are they? I mean, I do the talking, but there's no music, there's no kind of I cycle along and then I run back and get the camera and then cycle along. I don't do any of that. So anyway, number 3. What is number 3? People who don't buy anything when you go to the coffee stop. I mean, you go for a ride, right? And you stop at a coffee shop. And some of you go in, you buy a cup of tea, cup of coffee, perhaps a bacon sandwich, piece of cake, a tea cake, whatever it is, a Danish pastry, perhaps all of those, perhaps even a coffee with marshmallows on top of it. But some people, no, I'm not really hungry. So they sit there, they don't eat anything, or they might have brought something, a banana or something, but they don't buy a coffee. And you think, these are local businesses, right? They're struggling. Times are tough, don't use their facilities, without paying for it. Don't use their toilet without buying a cup of coffee. Don't use their table and their chairs without buying at least a cake or something. At least putting a bit of money into the local economy. So, come on, cyclists. I mean, if you stop somewhere, buy something, right? Support a local business that's struggling, that needs the business, right? Don't be mean. I hate meanness. I always have hated meanness. Don't be mean. Just splash your money around, but just buy a coffee. Even if you just buy a coffee, you don't have to buy a pastry or a sandwich or anything else. Just buy a coffee, put some money into the local economy, and support a local business that needs it. Okay, number 4. I've moved again. Have you noticed? You're having trouble following this, aren't you? You're thinking he's like a real YouTuber now. Number 4 is not having a pump or an inner tube or tyre levers or anything like that. So you have a puncture on the ride, right? Or whether you're with somebody, they have a puncture on the ride, and they say, "Have you got a spare inner tube?" And you say, "Why haven't you got one?" "Oh, no, I forgot it." "Oh, okay. Yeah, here you are." "You got any tyre levers?" "Well, you haven't bought any tyre levers?" No, I've forgotten." "Okay, here you are." "You got a pump?" "Well, you haven't got a pump." No, I forgot it. Rushed out of the house, you know what it's like, got kids and all that. All right, so here's your pump, so he lent it to them. And then what a cyclist normally does, the next time you see them, they say, "Oh, here's you gave me an inner tube, here's a pump." And you say, you got that inner tube?" "Oh, no, I'm sorry, mate, I forgot it. My sister's coming, and I just didn't remember." So if you go out for a ride, just get yourself a little toolkit, get yourself a pump, get yourself an inner tube, get yourself a set of tyre levers, get yourself a multi-tool. Probably actually best to carry 2 inner tubes, because you never know when you're going to have 2 punctures. So just make sure you're prepared. Okay, everybody forgets things every now and again. I've forgot stuff, but some people, you think, well, you didn't really forget, did you? I mean, you deliberately didn't bring it out because you knew somebody was going to sort you out. And to me, it's a little bit off. You'll be off. And us cyclists, we shouldn't be off. We should be on point, en point. Did I say that in strictly, or does that mean something else? Anyway, we should be ready for all eventualities. That's all I'm saying. Okay, back to the original position now. There's a lot of moving around, isn't it? A lot of faff, isn't it? I need my posse to help me. Anyway, the next thing that gets up my nose is jumping red lights. Now, the great Bob Dylan, who won the Nobel Prize for Physics about 5 years ago, there's a line of his which is, "To live outside the law, you must be honest." Now, if you're going to be a cyclist, if you're going to kind of live on the edge, if you're going to, hashtag van life, all this kind of stuff, you've got to obey the rules, right? You've got to be honest. Don't jump red lights, right? You're subject to the same highway code as everybody else. You can't moan about car drivers doing stuff that's wrong and silly and bad and naughty and trying to kill you when you're on the road if you don't yourself follow the rules of the road. So if I come up to a set of traffic lights, I always stop. If I come up to a pedestrian crossing, I always stop. If I come up to, a junction, I always stop. I don't go, "Oh, go straight across. Oh, I'm a cyclist. Oh, it doesn't apply to me. Oh, I'm allowed to go through red lights. I'm allowed to ride on the pavement. I very occasionally ride on the pavement. Might be because of a safety issue, might be because of something else. But I don't ride on the pavement generally. So don't ride on the pavement. Ride on the road. Follow the highway code. Behave yourself. Follow the rules. Do as you're told. And the world will be a much better place. And cyclists might just get a bit more respect and attention. Because you're always going to have that motoring lobby saying, well, yeah, but they always overtake on the inside, which we're allowed to do. They always ride tour bus, which we're allowed to do. They always go through red lights, which we're not allowed to do. So follow the rules. Do things properly. Your Uncle Julian has said so. Now, the next one is perhaps a bit personal to me, and it's this save the rim brake. Right? Disc brakes are taking over. Why not? Disc brakes are better. And then you get these people, the rim brakes are so much nicer, and rim brakes are so much better. We should save the rim brake. We should go back to a time when we had wooden wheels. Right? We should go back to a time when we had two gears. We had one gear on one side of the wheel and one gear on the other side of the wheel, and we had to stop and we had to turn the wheel around, and that's how you change gears. We should go back to those days. Right? We should go back to the days of the Tour de France as it was in 1907 or something like that. We should save the rim brake. We should have rod operated rim brakes. We should have to reach behind us and manually operate the derailleurs. Why is this constant obsession with nostalgia and how things were so much better in the past? Things weren't better in the past. Believe me, there was polio, there was rickets, there was, the life expectancy in the Middle Ages was about 34. I mean, things weren't better in the old days. Things were shit in the old days, right? Ask your grandparents what things were like in the old days, and they'll say things were shit, right? But we loved it. We lived through the Blitz. I wish we could get back to the days of the Blitz, where everybody was friendly and we all lived underground like hobbits, and we had powdered milk and powdered eggs, and we had powdered politicians. I wish we could go back to those days sometimes. Anyway, disc brakes are better, okay? Believe it from me. Don't save the fucking rim brake. And yes, Pinarello, right, or rather Ineos, Team Ineos have now switched over pretty much to disc brakes. So the last holdouts have gone. Right, so disc brakes, they're better. They are. And my final reason, or my final thing, right, that gets right up my nose, is people who say Zwifting on the turbo is not real cycling. Or it's not proper racing. It's not like we used to do. Not like when we had a crit through a town centre and we didn't have helmets and everybody ended up with brain damage. Not real cycling, because you're not getting wet. You're not getting rained on. So it's not proper cycling. You're on a turbo, right? You're doing a computer game. Let me just say something, guys. Right? The future is bright. The future is orange. The future is Zwift. Zwifting is cycling. Right? You're on a bike, you're turning the pedals. Right? The fact that you're watching a screen, the fact that you've got an avatar, the fact that you change your silly clothes on the screen, right? The fact that you give yourself a stupid name so that all your other fellow Zwifting mates can recognise you and so forth. Forget all about that aspect of it. Right? That is just a bit, a bit naff. But the cycling on Zwift, that is real cycling, right? And when you're putting out watts, they're real watts. And when you're sweating, it's real sweat. Take it from me, guys. When you're racing, it's a real race. When you're trying to catch somebody, you're really trying to catch somebody. When you're trying to beat somebody in the sprint, you're really trying to beat somebody in the sprint. I know you're not on the road. I know you're not in a crit wearing one of those silly leather hats. Right? I know you're not wearing woolen shorts. Well, you might wear woolen shorts while you're Zwifting. I certainly do. I like the feel of them when I'm on the saddle. But Zwifting, it is cycling. Right, so there are 7 things, right, that get right up Julian's nose. Now, I'd like you, right, to leave a comment down below if you have other things that get right up your nose, or if you want me to do another video about a whole load of other things that get up my nose, and believe me, there are quite a lot of them, then I'll be happy to do so. But in the meantime, as I always say, if you like my videos, please like my videos. Now, that never comes out right, does it? Please subscribe. Yeah, I might actually put a thing down the bottom there that says subscribe, just in case you don't know that that's what you're supposed to do. Please hit the notification bell, and please remember that my videos raise money for the Vine Food Bank, which is in Croydon in the United Kingdom. So every time you sit through one of these dreary, unpleasant, moaning videos, you are helping to support people who are less fortunate than ourselves. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.